burning question here. Training tab, is it paid or unpaid? Can we recoup our cost after termination? So the question here is, we recently termed an employee for disciplinary reasons. He was paid $751.09 for training courses he took this year. According to our leadership, he is obligated to pay it back. Unfortunately, we did not outline how that works in our policy. Do we have any recourse now? We did not deduct from his final pay. Should we or could we have? This is not an unusual question.
Yeah, so this one to me sounds like I think we need to be clear that the training course that the person took, this is more along the lines of like a tuition reimbursement type issue. The employee paid for this class, and the employer is wondering if they can use what I call self-help to recoup the cost of that training course that the individual took. And so to me, I think that if the employee voluntarily leaves or is termed for cause, I think if the policy says in those circumstances that they're going to be required to pay it back, the employer's really only left with a few options, and none of them are really good given the amount of money involved here. So again, this is what I would call self-help by the employer, that they could either deduct from the employee's final paycheck, but this is very, very state law dependent. There are many states out there that say that you may not make any deductions from an employee's final paycheck. There are other states out there that say you may make a deduction, but only with the employee's consent. And then that's broken down even further, and those separate out into states like Missouri, where you can get consent anytime during the employee's employment, versus states like Illinois, where you can deduct only if the employee's consent is contemporaneous with the deduction. So
there's a nice word. Look at that. Contemporaneous.
Well, and how many employees do you think are going to say when you give them their final paycheck, will you consent to us deducting the cost of the training course, even though we're firing you? And they're going to, of course, say no. So then you're left with the recourse. Do you assume it's small claims court? It's probably not going to be worth it. There's also some exempt, non-exempt issues that might come into play if you are in a state that would allow you to deduct from the final paycheck. One thing you want to make sure that you're doing is you're not deducting the individual below minimum wage.
Yep, I'm glad you mentioned that. Yep.
And even if it's an exempt employee, and you do the deduction, you need to make sure you're not deducting the exempt employee below minimum wage as well. Now, you may be jeopardizing the exemption for that pay period, which could cause other problems, but this is one that's going to be highly fact specific and highly state specific. Before you use self-help, you would definitely want to get some legal guidance.
Where I see the most common mistake made from the calls that we get and the conversations I'm involved in is people believe they can deduct, and then they do. Our organizations believe they should and can deduct, and they do, and they bring it below the minimum wage, right? They're writing a check for what the remaining balance is due to you is $20, and it's for a 40-hour work week, and that's where they make a common mistake and forget about that minimum wage element.
Yeah, I agree with you, Phil. That's where it comes up very often. And, it's not just with respect to like tuition reimbursement like this.
No, it's for whatever
it's loss from a cash register. It's missing tools, missing uniforms, et cetera, et cetera. Employers want to try to use self-help many times at the end of the employment relationship. And again, I just caution, it is highly fact specific and highly state specific. And you should get legal advice before you make those deductions.
All right. Well, that's our burning questions for this week. Again, we'd love for you to submit your questions. We'll do our best to get to those. And we'll do our best to keep those anonymous and protect the identity of the innocent or the guilty. So please let us know if we can help you out. Burt, great job again. You're looking good.
Thanks for being an on-demand viewer of This Week at Work. Don't forget, you can be part of the show. by watching live at 7:30 a.m. Central every Thursday morning, when you can get your burning questions answered by using the question mark icon to the right of the player. In fact, you can ask a question now. Head over to aimea.org. Under Member Resources, you'll find This Week at Work. Click Listen Live to register for our next episode and submit a question. Or follow or subscribe wherever you get your news and entertainment. We'll see you next week when we discuss what's happening this week at work.